Our next speakers are going to be Shirley Bales, Director of Software Ecosystem Strategy at Intel, and Katherine Druckman, who is next to me on the stage, Open Source Security Evangelist, Intel Corporation. Let's see. Oh, perfect. All right, and I will leave it to you ladies to take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, this is adorable. Hi. Hey, everyone. Well, he just introduced us, so we don't have to do it again. This is great. How convenient. But we'll just get into it then.
All right, folks. So, Katherine, why are we here today?
We are here because innovation in the field of AI is moving very rapidly. Everyone from large enterprises to small startups to individuals like us, including developers. I am a recovering engineer, so that might include myself. We're incredibly excited to jump in and reap the emerging benefits of generative AI for productivity, to integrate into new and existing applications.
So show of hands, how many of you have actually been given the task of developing Gen AI applications? Okay, it's about half the room.
Okay. But with so much excitement and innovation comes a few challenges and even hurdles. That's not unexpected. Today we'll go over a few of the problems that arise from rapid innovation and in pioneering technology.
What do you think is contributing to the struggle?
So, not that long ago, we were dreaming of all of the possibilities of Gen AI and chomping at the bit about the money to be made, as we do as humans, capitalists. Goldman Sachs predicted generative AI could raise global GDP by 7% over a 10-year period. That sounds very exciting, right? McKinsey had just published a report that generative AI's impact on productivity could add trillions of dollars in value to the global economy. In life sciences, biotech companies were reporting results from their Gen AI use cases that they're seeing reductions in the drug development time from 4.5 years to 18 months. That's tremendous impact.
So, of course, there's the reality. Most things in enterprise tech, the path from idea to impact is anything but straightforward and easy. A lot of teams are still stuck in that in-between place, building cool demos, sure, but we're all still kind of struggling to move beyond the lab. Proofs of concepts drag on, development cycles stall, and that mature Gen AI deployment that everyone is chasing at the moment, it's still really out of reach for most people.
So, when we're focused on rapid innovation, especially in pioneering fields, as I mentioned, we may be focused on a goal, a minimum viable product, getting some functionality out the door, but what's sometimes lost in that drive is the foresight to apply principles that lead to interoperability and flexibility. And in emerging fields where best practices and modular architectures have not yet been established, that lack of established best practices and standardization slows down development processes. AI development is like the Wild West, with everyone reinventing the wheel in silos. So what we'd like to see is adoption of community-established standards to smooth and speed up everyone's development workflows. I think we're all open source people here. We're at Open Source Summit, so I hope we're all open source people. If you weren't at the beginning of the week, hopefully you are now. But this is the open source way. We come together to establish the best way and the vendor-neutral way. So Shirley, generative AI isn't exactly new per se. How did we get here?
So there's a lot to look at on this slide. Generative AI development is not new. In the last several years, things have moved pretty rapidly, as you can see. In 2017, we have deep learning models. They were the leaders. When Google published the transformer architecture, we quickly realized how powerful it was, and it was going to be for natural language interaction. And after that, we started to see an explosion of models and the frameworks as well. And the ecosystem started to have solutions to support the usage of generative AI. Meta is doing their thing, Google is doing their thing, NVIDIA is doing their thing. But a lot of this is, there's a cost here, right? And that cost is fragmentation. There's a lot of work happening in different places and by different companies. And what we'd like to see is the ecosystem actually come together and work on solutions that lead to interoperability. Things are really moving fast, and we're all excited about the things that we're creating.
And what happens when we get excited and push technology boundaries?
Well, as much as we're having so much fun making cool new stuff, we tend to focus on the end goal. And we all tend to want to get there by any means necessary. And that can mean that we're constantly reinventing the wheel, which is really not the open source way as we know.
We're breaking a lot of new ground quickly. And there are a lot of different options and paths to reach the same goal. And again, pioneers, I love this word. When we're pioneers in a new technology, we often don't have the luxury of referencing those who have gone before us and forged that path.
And because we have so many options, we may end up looking like this pile of disorganized Legos on the screen without a reproducible way of actually working.
But as a community, I think we can do better and benefit from what we're all learning in our silos, but bring it together to forge a more standardized path.
So this is our current minimum viable product, this cute little monster. It works, maybe even well, but you might be wondering, how can you make any modifications to it? It might be tough to expand, it might be tough to maintain, and you might want to start with something a bit more solid. You don't want to start building on top of an unruly monster already, even as cute as he is with his eyeballs.
But if we had started with something a little more orderly, we may not have created the monster in the first place. We've all been there, right? It works. It was probably fun to build, right? But maybe it has a mind of its own.
And of course, we have a choice. All of the challenges that we've just talked about are impacted by this choice that we are to remain open, and by committing to fostering and contributing to and participating in open ecosystems, open organizations, open source, and this is how we achieve our goals.
By choosing the right path, the open path as we see it, we avoid vendor lock-in, we support and foster an environment that is set up for innovation. We support our goals of protecting our data. Just, as humans, this is a value I think we should all share. We benefit from the wisdom and support of the ecosystem's community. And we future-proof our applications, which protects your ability down the road to stay agile in your development and swap out what's not working. And it may even save us some money, time, and effort, which we all love to hear, if we keep it open. And we maintain our freedom to pick and choose what we want and what we don't. Any model and data store, any framework. This is how we make AI applications what we want and need them to be. The good news is that the open source community is coming together, and mostly under the umbrella of the Linux Foundation, to work toward the standardization we mentioned. There are a few areas where work is happening toward that standardization that we would like to see. Reference architectures, reference tech stacks, conformance. One is an interoperable, vendor-neutral platform that helps us tame some of that chaos.
So as Open Platform for Enterprise AI is nestled under the Linux Foundation. As enterprises seek to achieve their AI goals, they're going to look for simplicity and total cost of ownership, savings in their deployment as a whole. Being open is the key to having control over everything that you do. Better collaboration, starting with more organized architecture, that saves you time and effort down the road. When we deploy generative AI in the enterprise, things, as we've said, can get pretty chaotic with all the moving parts, and it is a bit of a puzzle. So the goal here is, what if we simplify it by treating each part as a separate block? And by doing that, we're hoping that we can handle and integrate each piece on its own. It makes the whole process a whole lot smoother for everyone. And that's really what OPIA is all about. It's giving us that framework, a framework to make generative AI implementations a little bit more straightforward and manageable from development to deployment. So we are both from Intel, but this isn't just an Intel effort. All of these lovely folks on the screen that you can see have joined us to collaborate on this platform and just to ensure interoperability, best practices, and extensibility as well. So it's easy to assume that this is going to be complicated, and as things go, it is a little bit. As something even as simple as a RAG app can surface a dozen hard questions. What about the data pipeline? What happens if you started with Redis, but now you want to switch to Milvus, and your app wasn't built for that kind of flexibility? Then there's the model. Which LLM do you choose? What framework makes sense for you? Do you even have the right integration support? And that's before you even get to deploying. Now you're thinking about hardware efficiency, retrieval accuracy, guardrails, and observability. You start to realize it's not just about getting each of these pieces right, it's about getting them to actually work together without reinventing the wheel every single time. I feel like I've said this question already, but what if we didn't have to rebuild every time? When you start with a stable framework, something composable by design, you get more than just a stack of tools. You're going to get that foundation, like this little house, Lego house that you see here. That's what the OPA reference architecture is all about. Those Lego blocks that we talked about earlier, they become microservices that you can actually plug into, swap out, and scale. And you end up with a mega service, and that it's going to know how to work together, not just technically, but functionally. And that means faster development, cleaner integration, and less duct tape holding everything together. So here's the community invitation to all of you. This isn't just a static reference, it's a living framework. So if something's missing, please don't wait for someone else to fix it. Help us build it. Whether it's a new demo, a different use case, a support for tool for your team that you're relying on, we'd love to see PRs. Because neutrality doesn't mean generic, it means there's choice, and it means flexibility. And that only works if we build it together.
So that's one effort, and a fairly organized, and it's becoming a more mature effort to standardize and make this process easier. But there are others. In fact, the CNCF just recently announced, I believe it was at KubeCon in China, a new AI conformance effort. It is, again, as it shows here, this is just a screenshot of the GitHub repository. It's a beta. It's a brand new effort. And it's to extend the existing work on cloud-native conformance to include AI. Just to, again, standardize, make sure, have a process for ensuring that things work properly and utilize best practices. As a quick overview, this is the goal, right? But if any of these goals and target outcomes are something that you'd like to see change, this is where you get involved. You get that early seat at the table at early initiatives like this. And then again, make it what we need it to be as a community. So again, the goal is to simplify development, similar to the goals of the OPA project. Again, we all have that basic interest, right? We need to shorten development cycles. We need to get there faster, but we need to do it in the right way. And again, ensure interoperability and portability. And ultimately grow the ecosystem, right? Because that's what we're all here for. There aren't enough of us working on this. We see people, we see these crowds at events like this, but truly out in the wild, there are not enough people working on this kind of standardization effort. Again, here's a quick scope definition just for reference of what this project is about, if you are interested in getting involved, which I certainly encourage you to do. And then another work stream I wanted to mention, Linux Foundation AI and Data is also spinning up, rebooting an MLOps group to, again, standardize some tech stacks, make some informed recommendations about really how to build these things and deploy them efficiently and in the best way for your use case. So this is another, again, it's an effort, I wouldn't say it's in its infancy, but it's in a stage of rebirth. So it's a really great time to get in there and share your knowledge, learn from others. It's a really nice group of people coming together and figuring out the right way to do things for various different kind of use cases, verticals, various industries. Great opportunity to get involved in really shaping the future of how these things are deployed. Here are some of the working group goals. Of course, growth and adoption, right? It behooves us as open source folks to encourage the adoption of open tools so that people aren't necessarily tempted to take that other fork in the path that we showed earlier, the proprietary path that we don't really think is the right one.
So what we're asking for is to join in. There are just logos on the screen, but you could check out the CNCF site for the AI conformance group. Open platform, the OPA is just opea.dev. And then again, the MLOps group with the LF AI and data. And I think we went through that on time, maybe a little bit early.
Yeah, so here's where to find us. If you're interested in any of these things, interested in jumping into a conversation, we are always happy to have it. We love talking to people who are pioneers with us. So here we are. Please reach out. Does anybody have any questions? Do we have time for questions? Yes, a little bit? Okay, cool. Do we have any time for, do we have any questions? There might be something in it for you if you do. Do we still have things?
Yes, we have.
Oh, yes, there's something probably pretty cool in that stack if you want to ask us a question. We love questions. Oh, yes, please, in the front. Do you have a question? Make one up. It'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Well,
Can we explain how we're going to work with CNCF and LFA?
How are we going to work together across CNCF, OPA, and LFAI and data? That's a really great question. I mean, part of the answer is, I'll have to say, Shirley, I bet you would agree with me, you tend to see in open source communities a lot of the same work, a lot of the same people doing the work across different organizations. And the downside to that is people tend to get a little overburdened and approach burnout. But the great part about it is we open up lines of communication and we build these relationships. So we all, we're all friends, right? We're friends with our colleagues over at the CNCF. We're friends with our friends over at LFAI and data. In fact, they are us because OPA is an LFAI and data project. So in terms of making those connections and building those relationships and bridges and cross-pollinating efforts, I see it going quite nicely and smoothly, but we can always use, again, more humans involved in making sure that that's the case. Yes?
I have two questions. One is it somebody from the field who has experience with agents and large language model? Are you looking for those kinds of contributors or those who can learn these things and then contribute to it?
Yes, first of all, the answer to are we looking for contributions and contributors is always yes. Any open source project, the answer is always yes. But yes, definitely, there are people working on agents within the OPA project. I can't speak to the other kind of reference tech stacks that are being built aren't necessarily specific to agents, but there's definitely an agentic work stream in OPA, and people would love to have contributions, for sure. Anyone else? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you all so much.
Thanks.